edible oils, but now go to X minus M. If you define let me not use a specific name. If you define edible oils companies in Kenya, are they manufacturing companies or are they importers? That is the point. Because if we continue deriding ourselves and lying to ourselves, we will continue doing the same thing, but expecting different results, which we are not going to get. We will have edible oils companies become manufacturing companies that help our economy if two things happen. They source or the intermediate, they source the intermediate product here. Intermediate means to make edible oils, whatever you need to make it, if it's not coming from Kenya, you are an importer. If 80% of a packet of edible oil when you buy it, if 80% of the cost you are paying is an import, then you are harming the economy more than you are stimulating it. That's one. But number two, they'll become truly manufacturing companies when they start manufacturing for other markets, not just for Kenya. Why is that important? So that the machinery they have imported to do whatever thing they are doing with edible oils, their value becomes less than the production you are making. So that you cover up for your net imports. You cover up for your net imports by exporting. So I wish they were importing these intermediate goods and products, manufacture edible oils, then sell them at a premium in the outside markets. But if you only produce for the local markets, and the bigger component is an import, that is the reason why there is no manufacturing that is happening there. The second one here, my sister wrote, is vehicle manufacturing companies. In the CAM meetings, these companies sit in front. Tell me one vehicle manufacturing company in Kenya. The ones you mentioned are not. KVM is not. Isuzu is not. Now look at it this way. When you go to Isuzu, I can use Isuzu because it's a public company. Government has a stake in it. If you go to Isuzu yard today, is it manufacturing that is happening there or is it assembly? Now, the value of assembly versus the value of what you imported, what is higher? The value you are adding to this part and this is only assembling them. Between that value of assembly and the value you accrued by these imports, which value is higher? It is import. So is that an import company or is it a manufacturing company? You may see it. I think those two examples suffices. That, as we talk about manufacturing in Kenya, let's now stop wearing suits and speaking big-worded English. Let us go to where the rubber meets the road and confront the problem there and then. If you go to a country like Morocco, Morocco is now overtaking South Africa as an auto economy in Africa. But they are doing real manufacturing. They are not just doing assembly. So those real manufacturing are important because you must be mindful when you are a Mabati company and you are importing iron ore. So what are you doing? Just compressing Mabati and selling. So we must, as a country, look at, if we are talking about manufacturing, it is actually real, but it also targets outside market so that you pay for your net imports. You pay for your net imports by also exporting. Hey, it's so much jargon today, lakini mutanisamehe. I'll highlight a few points as I go to the close. How do we enhance productivity as a country? But before that, so that this makes sense, those formulas I made you right. I talked about US. US grew by what? Starting by manufacturing. Manufacturing for what? Exports. UK had done exactly the same before. How did South Korea grow? South Korea came up with a model called export-led growth economy. The economy of South Korea grew on a model which is actually now studied, called export growth economic model. How did they conceptualize it? General Park was the president of South Korea from around 1961. Was actually a general, meaning you know how he took the power. But he was a good man. He minded about his country more than he minded about how much money he would make. And he actually was able to check where the problem of South Korea was and how it could be solved. And I'm using South Korea because the size of Kenya is exactly the size of South Korea in terms of population. We are in our 50 millions, both of us. But we were the same in terms of the economic GDP per capita. In the 1960s, we were the same. But now, currently, a South Korean is 12 times you. So if you earn 100,000, a South Korean income is times 12 of what you have. Is it an oil-producing company? No. Do they have rare earth minerals? Not more than Kenya. So what is this that they did? And how can Kenya do something related? They came up with export growth economic model, where the economy needed to grow not by producing for consumption, but producing for exports. General Park formed a committee which was meeting monthly to evaluate how the exports model or the exports figures are running in South Korea. And in the 19 years he was president of South Korea, he attended all those meetings personally. All. What was the ramification? The exports of South Korea grew by over 360 times. Then they went ahead to check, how can we grow this economy even further? What do we need? Because you can say, oh, we have a committee then to grow our exports. We must go deeper, specifics. So South Korean model, some people actually say South Korea grew on corruption. Corruption is defined by using policies to benefit private. South Korea was deliberate to the level where they combined private sector and government together for the sake of the economy. So they created a category of companies called chaebols. Chaebols were meant to be big exporters. And what was the basis? The basis was this. If we needed to have, or if we want to have a company that can compete globally, let's say in production of zips, or buttons, or ties, if we need that company in Kenya, it must be very high scalable. Because when you scale a company so high, so the cost of production per unit comes down. So South Korea thought that yes, we need to grow the economy. Everyone, SMEs, they are part of it. But we need some level of companies that can actually go out there and compete with the biggest companies in the world. So South Korea deliberately made policies, including funding policies, that benefited chaebols. The chaebols I'm talking about is a company like Samsung, a company like Hyundai. These companies, one was dealing with dried fish back then, but used the capital, used their profits to become capital to scale technology into other products. So the entire economy started by producing garments and apparels, high labor-intensive, pollutants. That's how all the economies grow. You must first adopt labor-intensive products, pollutants, what every other person is looking at to run away from. Even them, they grew from that. Garments, apparels, then they upgraded to plywoods. The plywood is an upgrade. But manufacturing for export. Plywood then came to what? If you look even when we were growing up, they were either Japan, South Korea, Chinese. Vitu low quality, low technology, not low quality, low technology. Then the same company plows back the profits. Now Samsung, in the year 2024, their research and development budget was higher than our entire budget in Kenya, one company in South Korea. Why? Because the government helped them through policy, first of all, to adopt technology very fast, transition commodities and production to higher technology products, because higher technology products have higher margins, and higher margins have higher productivity per worker. China from 1976. You know, sometimes these stories are given and you might think, how is that so sudden? China was being ruled by Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong was a uniting factor. He made the Chinese people to be who they are in terms of the country. But during his reign, there was something called the Cultural Revolution, where he was trying socialism, at the people to go into the farm, at the farm, then the product belongs to government, at the munagawiwa kidogo. You know, that's not how the economy works. Economy works through selfish interest. So hapo hakaenda kobo kidogo. And it led to millions of Chinese people dying out of hunger. Then, he departed from this world in 1976. In 2 years, there was some vikwazo hapo, the wife and some people called the Gang of Four. We are trying to subvert Deng Xiaoping from becoming president of China. But he succeeded in 1978. Now, this is what happened. One day, Deng Xiaoping was visiting Singapore. And he was astounded to see that homes had fridge. He went back to China, at the normal home has a fridge. Just imagine. Then, after he went back to China, he remodeled the Chinese economy. First of all, he opened it up. After opening up, he now started the same model of South Korea. Labor intensive, kwanza. So, China also got something called adoption. It's like copying, so to say. So they could see a technology happening somewhere, no need of R&D, no need of tiring your mind. There is this shirt, start manufacturing that shirt. This tie, they started start manufacturing exactly it. Why? The labor was cheap. So this company manufacturing a tie maybe somewhere in England, China would produce exactly the same tie by adopting other people's technology, and then produce more ties, and actually make those companies, they borrowed the technology. Because you move from low production, from labor intensive, you still on productivity. Remember, productivity of a country is a summation of my productivity and yours and the other person. And what is productivity? You may even measure it through